Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
There you go, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest now is Kim Wahl, who is an alternative medicine advocate.
Hi, guys.
Welcome. It's good
back.
to see you again.
It's so great to see you guys.
And that lovely little granddaughter of
my
yours.
that's my assistant there. Yeah.
Yes, with the pretty, with the
my beautiful assistant,
with
Miss
the
Dasha.
beautiful leather,
Beauty.
beautiful yellow bow in her
The
hair.
Beauty and the Beast, Dasha, today. Yeah, you never know what dress we'll pull out. So it was Beauty and the Beast yesterday with a beautiful rose out of Mimi's garden that is out of control with roses at the moment.
Yay.
Okay. Well, we're going to chat. We'll chat with you in a little bit, okay? All right.
So the last time you were here, we were talking about how our seniors are being poisoned by the food supply. And, one of the things that, all of us yet don't understand, and I think probably within a decade we'll realize that some of our illness that we have created,
Most of our illnesses.
have created in our society are related to the food chain.
It's really interesting. I was actually in Vancouver, British Columbia last weekend for a health conference I was invited to by King Bio to do educational for them up there. And it was very interesting to talk to people, to see advertisement, how the Canadians do things. And it's interesting that they have the medicine up there is, the country's in charge of. And it's, they take care of their people in the sense that they pay for different services. And we were talking about food, and we were talking about GMOs, and we were talking about all these different things. And these people were looking at me like, well, no, we don't allow it in the country if it has that, and we don't do this and this and this. And it really makes you start to realize, what are we, America? What are we doing here? Are we creating customers? Are we creating patients? How about we create a future for our country?
Instead of destroying
It
it.
is, because
instead of getting our citizens sick.
And citizens, and it's crazy because it's citizens of care is what we're really seeing, because we're seeing it in the seniors with the Alzheimer's and the dementia and the mental disabilities that are happening there, as well as with our young children that are going to supposedly be that workforce to carry us into the future, which they say by 2025 will be 1 in 2 children with some kind of autistic neurological issue. So we have an epidemic on our hand. Our seniors today, people go, oh, well, they're just getting older. No, because if you went back 100 years, you didn't have a cabin full of people who didn't know their name. You didn't have that. You didn't have that different draw on society. We're creating customers. We're creating these things. But what we can do, though, is the whole bring it to my level. And it was great because the other day I was watching on Shark Tank, this gentleman who had this thing, and it was geared towards seniors and millenniums and people who want gardening but don't have the space to do. Like we were talking the other day, what can we do to bring it home? And it was literally a little rollout mat that fit a planter, fit a round container, pre-seeded, all done. All you had to do is put it in the pot and water. Had a thing to prevent weeds, so you didn't have to put weed killer on it. It was genius. And you could bring food right to your balcony, to your front porch. But I think that's what it's about. Like you were saying, how can we bring it closer to home?
That was on
It was on Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that last weekend.
And it was, the joke was they planted 7,000 seeds in like 15 seconds because they had a big old mat they rolled out. And they had 7,000 seed pods. But I was talking to my husband. Think how amazing this would be, because the seeds were all planted in a pod. It kind of looked like a jelly bubble. And what happens is when you roll it out, the mat prevents the weeds from growing, and they put 7,000 seeds. Think if we could do that in the field. No pesticides. Everything's pre-done. Nothing. It was
How does it keep the weeds from growing, though? How does it do
the
that?
mat that it sat on was like a...
How does it differentiate between a weed?
Probably looked like
because weeds are just plants,
right.
but they just
It probably looked like
different
almost like
name.
a coarse sponge. And then these little pods were all through it, and the pods where they were, it was hollow underneath. So when the seed started to grow into the thing, it grew under the mat and was protected, kept moisture in, so you didn't have to water as much.
So when you had the one seed there, you wouldn't
It
have
was pre-done.
something from outside that
No,
would
because
be
if it
considered
landed
a
in
weed.
there, it couldn't grow on the hard mat.
I ordered one of those tomatoes, and it came the other day, and it's a round, whatever you want to call it, but it's that texture. But it says plant it in a pot in loose soil
And go.
and water it.
Yep.
Keep it moist.
Yep.
So I'm getting ready to put that
Yeah.
in a big
and
empty pot.
how easy is that? Here you're bringing something super simple, and something like tomatoes. Once they get going, you know, you're looking for friends to give tomatoes to.
You mean tomatoes?
Tomatoes,
Tomatoes,
whatever.
yeah.
the little red apple of the
Well,
garden.
I only had 3 plants come up this year.
You have
but
that
they
accent.
I
had
actually had one
really-
come up out of my compost pile, and it's been a couple years since I've had tomatoes in my yard, and I'm letting her grow. So
And all of a sudden, here they come up, and
But you know, it's a simple way to get organic, nutrient-dense food in your diet,
Absolutely.
raw food that you can chop raw, and you can always cook. But you know, you can get that chop raw. You can also get the benefit of the herbs. You know, simple. Some of them were little simple herb things, little simple herb things that you could make. Like one was called a salsa. You know, the salsa herbs, and one was, you know, Italian herbs. So you could pick that fresh and make a salad dressing, or you could make, you know, a marinade, or like I said, just put it fresh into your salad, because we know even herbs have medicinal benefits to them. Like oregano is great for killing microorganisms and bacteria and funguses and things like that. So if you got a nice fresh plant out in the yard and you grab a little of that and throw it in your salad, again, you're making your food what your food should be. Your food is
Absolutely.
medicine, and that's what it's about. At this conference, you know, here you're all, you know, it's a whole building filled with everything you can think of, from, you know, literally soup being bone broth to nuts, you know, from who knows where, and everything in between. And
You know, still my question becomes, we're talking about growing our own, but right now the thing we have available, we go to a farmer's market. And, you know, we go to farmer's
I do
market.
too. I
here, and-
support mine.
But how it says a lot of them now have organically grown. How do we know? Do the farmers market screen for their?
well,
who
I will
does
tell
the
you this:
screening
to
for that,
have
Kim?
there is an agency that does that, and to
It
have that
does.
certification, and that's why you need to ask, because to have that certification, it actually costs those little farmers a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those little
And effort.
farmers, yeah, but some of those farmers can't afford that huge thousands of dollars fee to have that say organic on their thing. So I always tell people, get to know who that farmer is. I go to La Cañada is the one I go to by me. And I go and I talk to those farmers, and I look up their farms, and I go out and I know where my carrot came from, or my this came from. You know, I grow a lot of that stuff now, but that's all it is. It's just accountability, because if those people are real, they're going to tell you. If they don't know, they can't say, I don't know, whatever. Okay, well then maybe you might move on to the next guy, because those people want that business. So if they're big enough to be able to spend the thousands of dollars just to have that little stamp say that, then great, you know that they've been somebody's come on that farm and made those determinations. But if you ask those couple little guys that have, you know, Leona Valley's got a beautiful cherry farm, I'm going to guarantee you they're organic. They might not be able to afford to have
No,
that
yeah.
certification to show it at the farmer's
It takes
market.
years, doesn't it,
Exactly.
with the
But you know
cherries?
what? You can nowadays, you could go up there, you could drive by there and see that. You could go up to a lot of those places. You can call them up. You know, you can have that relationship, and that's what it's about, is a relationship with our food. And that was my point about Expo. It's about a relationship, knowing where your thing's coming from. What is this? Where's it coming from?
Well, you know, I think quite a few of the grocery stores around here now have organically grown food, fruit
Because-
and vegetables.
Because we are the power of supply and demand.
But it's more expensive than the regular.
Which is okay, but you know,
Yes.
once again, I still ask the question, like,
And you know, if you
would
thought
you
about
s-
it, it's probably actually truly in the long run, probably cheaper to manufacture. The difference is it's not as pretty, and Americans are very picky about what we get, as opposed to just being, you know, content with healthy whole food. We want it to be a perfect apple that looks like it's going to be whatever, and it sits on the shelf for 2 months and it doesn't change in any way. That scares me. No, that scares
Frozen,
me. And again, that's
pesticides, wax
because
on
we've
it, blah, 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 blah.
exactly. And that's because we've lost touch with our food. You know, we lost touch of where it comes from. Example being, I had some young men over at my house the other day. I got a chicken coop in my back of my truck right now. I'm upgrading to somebody else, my old one. And we were talking about pomegranates. I have a pomegranate bush, and they said, "Oh, look at that! It's so amazing." Well, you think of pomegranates as my example of food loss of food connection. It takes a pomegranate. My bush right now is in bloom. Okay, so you say April. We won't be picking those pomegranates to eat until probably the end of October. Now, you don't appreciate the fact when you go into a store, you can get a big old container of pomegranate juice, or you can pick up a pomegranate. We don't appreciate the fact of what that respect of that food is. That's why pomegranates are so good for you, sure, because it takes a lot for them to grow and be, and they're not everywhere. And that's that whole thing. We've lost that connection. I'm a huge advocate, though. go into your grocery stores, go into your stores, your farmers markets, wherever it might be, and ask, I'm looking for this. Do you have that? Because the more we as consumers ask and say, no, we're not going to buy this, we reject these, altered Franken foods, we'll call them.
That's good.
The more that industry is going to change, because a lot of these manufacturers in the United States of America, they're already manufacturing this way for other countries.
Well,
They're giving us the garbage, and they're manufacturing for other countries with what they will accept into their borders.
Yeah,
so that's
because we accept anything.
Well, we've been sold out by the lobbyists. That FDA that's supposed to be protecting
GMOs, all
you
the
bet.
whole bit.
The
We're the only
AMA,
country in the world.
all of them. We've been sold out, and again, we need to stand up. And where we can start with that as an average person is with our
the dollar you have in your hand.
Exactly. So if I can go and get
Exactly
a
right.
couple cool, long little pots or a window in that's sitting out in front of my house now that has fake flowers in it, I could throw a little dirt in there and I can throw some vegetables in there. I'm taking power of my life on a little level. But if everybody did that, they would take notice because they want our business. They want that business. And where we're seeing it in the natural industry is where these big companies are coming in and buying some of these little companies. The reason they're actually doing that is because they know that the shift in the industry is going that way. And these facilities are already set up to be holistic manufacturers. So like Annie's Bunnies and some of these, things are being bought up by other companies because eventually they know that's where it's going and they're getting ahead of the trend. So it's happening, people. We just have to stay on it and we have to support people. Oh, well, I'm not going to buy that company anymore because they got bought by this company. No. They're still manufacturing. Everything's the exact same. And how? Call them up and ask, hey, I'm concerned about this product. I've bought it. I don't want to buy it. No, we're going to continue to manufacture exactly the way it was because this company's smart. They know the trend is going that way and they want to be prepared. So when it hits, then they've only got a few of their plants to flip over, but they've already got something in place to manufacture what the consumer wants.
But what we also need is to educate our seniors how, some of the tomatoes are they're
Genetically
they're-
modified with fish DNA.
Well, but I'm talking about our seniors growing their own fruits and vegetables the best they can, but knowing that because they're seasonal, when to plant. I mean, most of my grandparents came from farms, and my parents lived on farms, whereas I don't know nothing
Well,
what's seasonal now, so I don't know
Right.
for sure. And I think our seniors might know a lot better than I know.
Well,
but
if you-
when can you roll out your mat that has certain things on it, grow them, and then when that season ends, roll out another mat?
Exactly. Do your fall season. Well, the beautiful
How do we learn
thing,
that?
The beautiful thing would be this. Let's throw it out there to these senior centers out here in this valley. Why don't you make a senior garden? Why don't you take one of your patios and actually make it into something that they know they're growing that arugula that they're eating in their dinner salad in your own thing, and they can go out in the sun and water and care for it. I encourage, I challenge the senior centers out here. You make it be that way because, when somebody's in that living environment, they don't have many options. But how cool would that be to empower those?
It would
Because you'd
be
have
great.
some seniors that would love it. They'd be up to their elbows in the dirt. And you'd have others sipping their tea watching them do it. So, we'd give everybody an out. If you're at home and you have that ability with your own apartment or your own thing, it's a much different game. If you're within a facility or part of something that way where you might not have those freedoms, it'd be an awesome thing for these people, for even the facility to become self-sustainable. How cool would that be?
I just kind of wonder whether we should get Shark Tank to,
Right?
their people to say, okay, well, let's pick 10 seniors who have balconies, and we'll roll out different, and everybody can share. Like
Right.
they'll have their own farmers market on their balcony.
Right. Well, and
and we have senior facilities.
Exactly.
We don't have, we only have one senior center here, and they're up to their, they're busy doing things, making foods, delivering them, things like that. But maybe we can start a program where we have balcony gardens.
Exactly. Perfect. Because
Farmer market, senior
and
balconies.
we could have seniors that maybe don't have the ability due to different things, have families adopt them. So in a family, like when I have my garden in full bloom, I'm giving stuff away. I share with my lady down the street. She shares with me. Think if we could have families that did that contributed to the senior center, that then could deliver fresh produce.
We do have
Awesome.
that.
That's
we do have
awesome.
that. Robin and I have gone out and we've picked fruit that would have laid without
To
being
waste,
picked, and
right?
to wait, and we bring them to the
That's
senior center.
awesome.
I think,
See?
Barbara, we've all done that.
That's awesome.
And we do that here in Santa
And
Clarita.
that's what makes a community a home, and that's what makes a
Yep.
community sustainable.
That's right. And we need to take a break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Good morning and welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Kim Wahl, who's an alternative medicine advocate. And right at the beginning of the show, you said you had a chicken coop.
I do have a chicken coop. I'm upgrading it. I put in a bigger coop in my yard last year because I got 4 chickens. And my original chicken coop was a little A-frame that was portable that I could actually pick up and move around my yard because chickens will keep your weeds down and your bugs gone. Like I have no bugs in the yard. So it was a little portable coop. So I have a friend out here and he wanted a chicken coop. And I said, well, if you'd like to take my old one, you just got a couple boards to fix it up and it'll be good to go. So I got to sit in the back of my truck. We're going to go drop that off. But again, he can have something as simple as a chicken coop where he's at in his backyard. Couple chickens. He's got a dozen eggs plus a week. Again, something you can control.
You control that.
Exactly.
So
Well,
how many omelets do you get a day?
Well, it depends. If you're a one egg omelet guy, you get one omelet a day. If you're not.
How many eggs do you get a day?
Well, I have 4 chickens. I get 4 eggs a day.
Wow.
Well, it's
so-
interesting when you mentioned the chicken coop. It took me back to my childhood. During the Second World War, eggs were rationed.
Oh, yeah.
You got 1 egg per person per week.
Oh,
Per week.
Wow.
Per week.
Wow.
And my mom had a chicken coop, and it was my
Sustained you,
duty
yeah.
to clean the chicken coop every day because my brother was 4 years younger. He was too young to do that. But we had 5 chickens and 1 rooster. We had
See, and you don't need a
lettuce-
rooster to have eggs, just so y'all know.
We had lettuce, cucumber, tomatoes, potatoes, and cabbage and carrots.
And that sustained you.
And that was it.
Yeah.
We didn't have to go grocery shopping.
Well, like I said, it
Because
gave you
food
on,
was
on that,
rationed.
you bet. And on
It
that
was.
level, it was probably something that saved the quality of your life as
Yes.
well.
And this was in the early 40s in England. But everybody had them.
I've lived at my house 33 years, and I've had chickens the whole time. The beauty is I raised my children on those same kind of chicken eggs. You know, they were definitely free range. And it was amazing because when I went to Canada this last weekend and I had breakfast at the hotel, and they brought me my beautiful breakfast, those eggs were just as orange as my beautiful chicken eggs. And I knew I was eating real food, and it wasn't that funny yellow-colored egg you get in the United States of America. So
Well, it was interesting. The reason my mom told me the reason they had the rooster is when they laid the eggs and the chickens hatched.
yes, the eggs will be fertilized.
She would sell them.
There you go. So that's smart.
More-
That's it.
more
And we
eggs.
did the same
Yep.
thing with rabbits.
Yep.
We had rabbit hutches around the
Yep.
side of the house.
Yep.
And,
And like
we
I
let
said,
those little rabbits out. and
sustainability.
They have Easter eggs.
oh boy.
And you have Easter eggs. Yes, you do. Covered in chocolate
Yep.
and foil.
Cadbury's.
Not in the early 40s, you didn't. No.
How fun.
No, you
And
didn't.
that was, my dad was away at sea. He was in the Royal
And it was a
Navy.
simple protein that you knew you would have every single day that was sustainable.
Absolutely.
Same thing with the produce. It can have a little bit of fresh produce every single day coming into your body. Something as simple
all you
as
need.
as a salad mix that it can give you real nutrients, real sustainable, nutrient-dense food is what we want.
Sustainable, but also allowing you, our seniors who are listening, every time you come on to sustain their quality of life,
You
Kim.
bet.
Thanks so much
You bet, guys.
for being on the show. If people want to
Absolutely.
contact you, what is your
My
contact number?
phone number is 818-683-4876, or you can reach me at educator@kingbio.com.
Always interesting.
My pleasure,
Kim,
guys.
You know, with your chicken nest and everything else that you got running around. That's great.
Well, you know what? It's
Keep
a
on-
great way to go outside and get the most important vitamin of all,
Yeah.
vitamin D.
And
So,
that's right. And
Absolutely.
have those omelets.
exactly.
Great, thanks. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.